baseball softball media again in 2022. Just a little bit of cadence of how the day's going to go. Coach Lawson will talk. We'll do a brief opening statement. It's very brief, I promise. And then we'll go to questions for Coach Lawson right after that.
I think I'm great. I don't know. It's so good to see everybody in person. The last couple of years we've been doing Zoom stuff. For the spring sports, we're starting our third year of dealing with COVID. So just to be able to see everybody's awesome. I mean, I forgot how tall you all were and everything. So that's cool. I also wanted to thank you. I know, this is the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and as a Title IX baby, I thought, we give a lot of credit to the women and everybody who drives the sport, and certainly well-deserved. But I don't think you all get enough credit for what you guys do. If you guys aren't out there covering us, people don't know about us, don't know who we are, and you wouldn't see the progress that we have. So I wanted to give you guys a shout out because I don't think you get enough of it. And as somebody who, as a player 100 years ago, who played in the World Series and who has now seen the sport grow to where softball is right now, one of the predominant sports in the country, I just think what you guys do for us is incredible, and it hasn't gone unnoticed on me. We open up Thursday night. So excited to get going. We have a great field in Florida. We're playing a ton of Big Ten teams. The teams that aren't in the Big Ten were in the postseason last year. It's just going to be an awesome weekend to really show where we're at, show what kind of team we have. And as was stated to me earlier today in the airport, it's so important that we get started right. So we're really looking forward to being down there and obviously in the warmer weather. When we come back home, we got a new video board, very cool. It's part of, we have continual upgrades every year. A couple of years ago, we got the berm. We got in our press box, we've gotten new scoreboards, video boards up there. And then this year they added the brand new video board. And it just really continues to show the commitment that we have to women's athletics and the sport of softball here at Kentucky. Honestly, I was not expecting that this year, especially after COVID. For Mitch and our athletic department and the BBN to continue to support us at the level that we are really shows what a special place Kentucky is. And then also just the fact that we've continued to play through COVID. I mean, the SEC is one of the few leagues that has very minimal stoppages, if at all. The sport of softball has been great, and a lot of that has to do with the SEC task force with COVID. Our medical people here with Jim and Bree have just done an outstanding job. And then we have outstanding leadership in Mitch and Greg Sankey. I just can't say enough how cool they are from my perspective. So I wanted to make sure that I recognized that before we started the season. So, you ready? That's as fast as I get. Yeah. Sorry.
We will go to questions. You don't have to raise your hand or anything. We'll just go like a normal football press conference on Monday. So if you have a question, go ahead and ask it. We'll cut off right at noon, then we'll go across the hall for the players in the football locker room, and we'll have Caleb Coyle, Renee Abernathy, and Laura Johnson go. So questions whenever you've got them.
Rachel, does it feel like 15 years?
Gosh, well, my hairdresser would say it feels like 15 years. So first thing Chris said to me the other day was like, you'll be fine for video, for media day because you got your hair done. And I'm like, okay. So it does not feel like 15 years. I can remember our first teams back there. So in that way, just the continued progress. And we're always doing something new, so it keeps it fresh. So I love that. On the other hand, it feels like 15 years. If my first media day, I will never forget it. It was, for those of you who remember Guy Ramsey. Guy Ramsey was by himself with his little recorder sitting in the back, and that was it. And he had like predetermined questions he was going to ask me, and then we projected it out there. So that part seems like it's been a long time. But as far as the players and the success and all that, that's been very fresh and very new.
Rachel, let's talk about your pitching going into this season.
Okay, that is a good question. I like our pitchers. I think that we are very good. We've shown that we are really getting it together the last couple of weeks, which is nice. So important that every pitcher develops their out pitch, and so that's starting to come. It was a little slow at the beginning. They were just trying so hard to be perfect that nothing was moving, nothing. They weren't getting batters out. And when they started to focus on getting batters out, they were free to do that. And the biggest thing for us, and that's the biggest question mark, so we don't have a lot of experience on the mound. Our most experienced pitcher is a transfer from Western Kentucky in Kennedy. So, Sullivan's obviously a very good pitcher. She is big time under pressure. She's a winner. And I'm looking forward to seeing her in the big blue and seeing what she can do. Miranda Stoddard has had an outstanding January, and she and Tatum Spangler have the most experience for us coming back. You know, Tatum looks really good. She really worked hard in the offseason on her control of her pitches, and being a lefty, she certainly gets a point, and she can really, you know, spin the ball. You know, Miranda's more of a power pitcher and has done a really good job. And then, you know, we have the other pitchers that you haven't heard a lot about. The one who's impressing me the most lately is Stephanie Schoonover. The last couple of weeks, the ball's just jumping. She's throwing hard. She's hitting 66 on the gun regularly. And when you look at her, she's not a very big person, so that's pretty shocking. You know, Sloan Gaines really done a good job learning to become a power pitcher. She's actually changed her types of pitches and has done an outstanding job with that. And then we have our two freshmen. And it's funny because they are outstanding. And Izzy Harrison, she is a wild card. We don't know where the ball is going, but when it goes hard and it spins a lot. So she is very, very exciting. And then, of course, we have Alexia Lakatena, who was in the Olympics. She's got a lot of big game experience. She's an outstanding pitcher as well. So we just got to figure out how to put it together as a staff. We have plenty of people, and now that they've developed their out pitches, but we just don't know quite yet how we all fit together. So that's probably going to be the biggest thing we're assessing the first weekend.
Rachel, it seems like whenever you got upset in the past, it's always been about defensive errors. I mean, you guys look like you're going to be pretty strong this year. Talk about how the team is going to be defensively.
Yeah, you know, it's funny though, when the ball's coming off the bat 75 miles an hour at the distance we're talking, it's really easy to make a lot of errors. And so the thing that we've focused on is just being really quick to the ball. And I have been most impressed. Erin Koffel right now looks outstanding defensively. Of course, everyone knows about what a great bat she has. And last year at this point, we didn't even know who was going to start at shortstop for us. It was, you know, she and Emmy Blaine were battling it out to see who was going to start at shortstop. And on opening day, I was just like, you know what, I'm going with Erin. And she was outstanding that day. But when you're young, you know, when people are running around, you have hit and runs and stuff like that. It's a little bit of a challenge for you in softball because it's such a quick sport. Well, let me tell you, Erin took the challenge. She worked so hard this summer and through the fall, and she looks outstanding right now. So that is going to be big for us because her jump is not measurable. You know, Emmy Blaine is doing a great job at second base for us. She gets great reads. She's probably, I would say, in the infield, she's probably our leader in the infield. Definitely the most vocal, knows what's going on. First base, you'll see a new face. We have two people battling out the positions in Miko Harrison and Taylor Ebbs. Taylor is, right now, from a freshman perspective, she is so strong. And she knows the game really well. She is an outstanding freshman. She's very mature for her age. So really looking forward to see what she can do. You know, third base is a little bit of a trick right now, because Miranda Stoddard right now seems to be the front runner for third, but, you know, she could see a lot of time on the mound. So, you know, you have a couple of new faces battling it out for third base, one of which is a freshman, Margaret Tobias, who is incredibly quick, also an outstanding middle infielder. And then you have Victoria Fregoso, who is doing a great job over there. So we just got to figure out which one's going to get it done when the lights come on.
Looking back at last year's Super, you know, in hindsight now, did you get the sense that your team was kind of had that feeling after the loss, like, hey, that stings, that's going to fuel us this offseason? Do you feel like your team had that spirit of, like, let's get back here, it's going to fuel us this offseason?
Oh, for sure. You know, I love our team. Our team's really cool, and they're creative. So you can tell, you know, we went to the post, you know, we were one of the few teams that could actually put as many runs as we did on Montana Fouts, but to play Alabama 7 times with her on the mound is something, you know. They did a good job, but, you know, you're never satisfied when you stop. You know, you get to Supers, you want to go to Oklahoma City. That's the goal. That's why you come to Kentucky. And, you know, our off season, people didn't miss a beat. You know, they worked hard through the summer. In the cages, there's always someone there. And then we're even getting more creative. I'm seeing people like invent their own drills, which I think is great. You know, the other day, you know, it was in December. Everybody was home for Christmas break, and here comes LJ. You know, LJ's leaving the cages by herself, hadn't gone home for Christmas yet because she wanted to get her reps in. You know, 2 days ago, I see, you know, and I just kept thinking, man, what a lonely position. I see my catcher, Kayla, leaving the cages. She'd gotten on the black box, I think, and she was just sitting there and she was receiving reps. I mean, she's already an outstanding catcher and she's sitting there receiving reps. And then, of course, Renee is always in the cages doing extra. So I know that they're hungry. I know that they want to go far. I know our offense is very good, and they wanted to continue to keep that going, and they've worked very hard at it.
Rachel, you played, I think, 15 games for your home opener, which has kind of become tradition in terms of your scheduling. And you handled it well, the win-loss record says. Can you describe the value in terms of pulling your team together, the chemistry, which it already seems to be there, but the additional chemistry that you gain by going on the road for an extended period of time?
Yeah, teams always talk about team bonding, and I even kid with my teams about this all the time. Well, when you're on a road trip, you're on the bus, you're on the plane, and you have a Coach Heim special because we'll be leaving the airport at 6, which means you got to be up by 3 and traveling there tomorrow. And you're just the ability, you have to stay together. Obviously you have to stay together. You go right from the plane, you go right to practices, you have your hit arounds, you do whatever, you go to eat together as a team. You go back to the hotel, you sleep, you get up in the morning, you have 2 games, and then you go ahead and repeat it. And when you're together that much, it's really, it's either going to bring a team really close together or it's going to take a team apart. And fortunately, I have great personalities on my team, and they understand the value and they respect each other. So in those moments when they get to spend a lot of time with each other is when they get to know each other. It's also when the upperclassmen get to really get to meet the freshmen. I mean, we've been doing stuff all year, but you really don't get to know anybody until you start playing. So we do a really good job with that. And I just think the fact that you have to do the first 15 games on the road. Listen, with this schedule, you're either going to thrive or you're just going to surrender. And I have a lot of very tough people who understand the value of keeping things going.
How much does winning play into that?
Oh, it plays everything. I mean, anyone who tells me that they had a really good experience and loses all the time is such a liar. I've never met that person. It just doesn't happen. You have to win. If you're not winning, it's funny, when you're not winning, everything's worse, right? Culture's worse. Coaches don't know what they're doing. Players aren't trying hard. All of that nonsense, and it's all just like a big distraction, and winning cures all that. All of a sudden you're winning and you have a good culture. So I'm not sure which one creates which, but I know when you lose, it's really hard. Anybody can be cool when things are going their way. Anyone can be a good person, and anyone can be helpful when everything's going their way. But you really get to see the true character of a person when things aren't going their way. And I've been so fortunate, so lucky. My staff is very cool, not just my coaching staff, but I've had the same, extended staff. I've had the same crew for years now, and my team is always very cool. I mean, we have just the most unbelievable people who play for my team.
So you obviously can't learn everything this weekend, right? It's a long season, but what are you most excited to kind of see this weekend and just learn about your group once they actually get on the dirt?
We touched on it before. I'm really excited to see how the pitchers are going to do. We've put a lot of pressure on them to perform, and to perform in the off season and to perform this January. And I'm really excited to get them to see other hitters, to get to see how they shine when the lights come on and all that. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing that we're looking at.
After Kayla has a season like she did last year, as a coach, how do you, balance wanting her to do all that again versus not putting too much pressure and have her trying to press her to replicate all that?
Well, I want everyone to perform like Kayla, so I yell at everybody. So it's equal opportunity on my team. I think to expect somebody bat 500 through the year with the schedule that we have is unrealistic. Last year, I never tell people are going to be one of the best players in the country. And in the preseason last year, I actually said it in Kayla. And I wasn't wrong. With that said, I didn't imagine she would hit 500. I'm not looking for her to do that. What I like the most about Kayla is I like watching her. So I like watching her at bats. I like watching how her mind works. I mean, just the fan of me loves watching her play softball, whether she gets a hit or not. So the expectation for me is never that she hits 500. My expectation is she just continues to be the same person that she is. And then my hope is always that other people take on her qualities and her characteristics. So she certainly leads us, but we have such a good top of the order, and I think that really helps her as well.
The sport has grown so quickly these past couple of years. Where has NIL come into play in terms of how you have to run the team? Have there been a lot of opportunities for the players?
Well, we don't really know about the NIL opportunities, so I'm just kind of guessing here. I don't think it's hit the sport of softball as much as it's going to in the future. I don't, being a spring sport with it hitting, and plus, we are so popular on TV, but people who have a lot of money are just starting to understand the value that we have in terms of our TV appearances. I would say for our team, it might be a little bit different because the majority of them are more focused on their career. So take Renee, for example. I mean, she wouldn't have a lot of time to do NIL appearances because I mean, how many med school interviews have you had? Yeah, like 4, she's missing, she has interviews, she knows she's trying to be in the Navy. I mean, there's just so many things going on. You know, LJ's in grad school. You know, Kayla probably would like to have a career in NIL, but you know, she's brilliant, so we force her to go to school. I'm just kidding. She actually does an outstanding job in school. But if you look throughout my team, they're so focused on that stuff, there leaves very little time for that. I think in the future that will start to shift. So we haven't seen a lot of it. It has not interrupted softball, but I anticipate it will change in the future, and I hope it changes in the future for people who want that opportunity.
You talked last year about that you thought Renee was a player that could really make a big jump forward for you. Who's that player too this year that you think could jump in there and do something like what she did last year?
Okay, I would say right now, the person who is unexpected that is doing the best offensively for us that I've been really pleased with is Emmy Blaine. She has made a tremendous jump in what she's done offensively. Miranda Stoddard has also made a very big jump in the lineup, which is great because we have a lot of proven left-handed hitters and we need to get more proven right-handed hitters. And so I've been very pleased with them. I think Emmy Blaine really has the opportunity to shoot up if she can work her process and she can stay in the moment and keep her rhythm, do everything that she's been doing. I think she's going to be very good. So essentially she's just taking her defensive game into the box, the mindset and the mentality, and she's done outstanding.
Rachel, you could have a super regional team and still finish 4th or 5th in the SEC, as good as that league is. Is that frustrating?
Well, no, it's not frustrating. I mean, we want to win the SEC and we want to be national champions, so that's what drives us, and that's what keeps us practicing hard, and that's what keeps us going. And you never have an easy day. You know, I always play the would you rather game with my team. You know, would you rather this or that? Would I rather play in another league and win it all the time versus playing the SEC and get to see the amazing stadiums, the outstanding players we play and play at the highest level? I would much rather play in the SEC and play at that level than be in another league that we would probably dominate. So I don't really think of it that way. You know, I love the fact that our players can watch other outstanding players on other teams and they can bring that to their own game. I mean, I love the SEC. There's no place that I think a player should rather be. I love the coaching in the SEC. The players are outstanding. The financial support in the SEC, the fan bases. I mean, there is nothing better than the SEC.
Time for one more.
You mentioned the new video board, just the growing excitement with this program. How excited, obviously it's a few weeks away, but how excited are you to have this community see this team and, you know, as we're moving on from COVID, trying to hopefully get full stadiums and all that, just how exciting is that prospect of this spring for you?
Oh, I love the BBN. Like, it's so cool. So when we have a game, and so our stadium not being very large because of the sport of softball, everybody's really close to the field. And even in the berm, you know exactly who's out there. You can see everybody. You know, we have a very faithful fan bases out there, and I can see literally everybody who's sitting in the bowl, and you've gotten to know them over the years, and it's really exciting to see them come in for the first time and they get their first look at the team and they just get so amped up. And I think that's one of the reasons we are so successful when we host regionals here, is because the fan base is just so cool. And you know, as much as I love going to the warm weather, I'm looking more forward to when the weather changes and then we're back here in Kentucky with our people.
Thank you very much. That does it for this portion. We'll now go to the team room with the